Hey, excited to be here. I just wanted to go live and do some spur of the moment SEO audits. I've got some extra time on my hands here today and thought I would share some knowledge with you guys and just offer some advice, some help, some pointing in the right direction maybe, and get hopefully some help for you when it comes to your search engine optimization, how your website is performing, things that maybe you're doing right, things that maybe you're doing wrong. And if you are interested in submitting your website to me to critique live today, just go ahead and put it in the chat, and we will see that, and my team will get that to me. We'll pull it up and we'll do a live critique of it. And I'll give you the good and the bad, the good and the ugly, but hopefully more good than bad. If we don't have any, I'll pull up some random sites and we'll go through it. I still want to make sure that this is an opportunity for you to learn and grow your business from learning from others that are doing some things right and wrong as well. Before I get started, I do want to mention one thing. I just finished a 6-week SEO Masterclass. And we had 1-hour sessions for 6 weeks in a row, and they were fantastic. We covered how to know who your audience is, what to say, what your messaging should be, who your avatar is, who your real target audience is. We talked about on-page SEO. We talked about off-page SEO, things you could do on other websites to influence your SEO. We talked about tracking. We talked about things you shouldn't be doing. So all of these things that we did, we recorded each one of those sessions and we put those together in a course that is obviously 6 hours long. And it's absolutely free. If you want it, you can get it. All you have to do is follow the link that we're putting here in the chat and we will get that to you. go.wtmarketingpros.com/SEO-masterclass will take you straight to it. It actually takes you to a checkout page for $0. And you can absolutely take that course for free. So if you haven't done that, if you're in a situation where maybe you can't afford to hire a marketing company quite yet, this will get you well on your way towards having your SEO built out the way, hopefully, that you would like to have it. So, all right. So I am going to share my screen here. So let's see. Let's share this screen window, entire screen. This one, I'm going to move myself over here so it doesn't look crazy. And let's go here. All right. There's my screen. You guys should see just the Google screen along with my little head at the bottom here. So, all right. So I'm going to watch the chat. I'm going to pull that up here and watch our Slack channel. If anybody has a website, if you have a website and you would like me to pull it up and give you an honest critique of it from a design standpoint and from an SEO standpoint, I would love the opportunity to do that. Now, in the meantime, while we're waiting for someone, I'm just going to go ahead and grab a random site here and do that. So let me see. Let's do window treatments, Washington, DC. All right, so here's some results. So first of all, we've got a couple sponsored results here. Then we've got what we call the 3-pack. Now, this is a great example of the 3-pack that has 4 results. The 3-pack typically is 3 results, and those are the 3 that have optimized their website. They've asked for reviews. They've done the things correctly to get into the 3-pack. If you're unable to get into this 3-pack, one thing you can do is you can actually run an ad through Google Ads, and you can show up first in the 3-pack as the 4th listing, but you show up first with this little sponsored thing here. So the Shade Store, 18 reviews, only 3.9 average. That's probably why Google isn't listing them down here, because look, they got 5 stars, 4.9. So Shade Store is having a hard time getting into this, so they're having to spend money to get into that. That's fine, but that's what they're having to do because, I don't know, they're getting some poor reviews. Obviously, fix your reviews, fix your install processes to make people happy, and that'll bump that number up. But anyway, they're in here. And the reason this is important is right now for our clients, and we have over 50 clients in this industry, 60 to 70% of their leads, of our client leads, come specifically from Google My Business, which is what we call the 3-pack here. So it comes specifically from this area of Google, of the Google results. So very important to have this area working very well. All right, I'm going to turn something off here so it doesn't keep bugging me. All right, there we go. So very important to be in what we call the 3-pack. If you can't, you're gonna have to run an ad, get in here. But I guarantee this is driving leads for them. The only bad thing about it is the fact that they've got the 3.9 stars there. A lot of people will default to these other guys just because of the numbers and the 5.0 stars. But all right, so let's cruise on down here. I'm going to skip budget. I'm going to skip Stoneside. I'm also going to skip Beltway because I know who that is. Blinds to Go is another big organization. So let's do Window Wares. I'm not familiar with who they are, but let's go ahead and just pull them up. mywindowwares.com. All right. So mywindowwares.com is a Hunter Douglas template site. So by default, as a Hunter Douglas dealer at a certain level, they give you a free website. This is a template. It looks like every other Hunter Douglas site online, except you get to put your own logo here. You get to put your own picture of yourself, this little section here. And typically at the bottom, you get to put your own contact information. Other than that, these sites are all the same. And that's a big problem for search engine optimization. Google by default sees all these sites that are exactly the same, and they're just not unique. So Google's not going to rank them terribly high. And that's why they were down the list 5th or 6th when I went to choose them from the opportunities that that were available there. Not the best way to do it, but let's go ahead and toss them into my tool and just see how they're doing. Now, the other thing with this is, as I said, you don't have a lot of control over this. As a dealer, they give you this. You can't really go in and do a whole lot with this site. So you're limited on what you can do on the site to influence Google to love you more, I guess would be one way to say it. There are things you can do, like we talked about in our SEO Masterclass. You can do things off page. So you can build links to your site. You can do things like that influence it outside of building the site itself that could help you with your rankings. So there are still some things you can do that are available. It's just not the perfect SEO scenario. So, all right. So I'm going to grab their URL, mywindowwares.com. I'm going to open up a tool that we use called Ahrefs. And this is a tool that basically I can plug in somebody's domain name, and I can get a good idea of what Google thinks about this website. So let's go ahead and plug that in here. mywindowwares.com, hit the enter button. Let's see what comes up. All right, some fancy stuff comes up. So let's kind of dissect what's going on here. So the first thing we see here is a DR, or domain rating. This is a number between between 0 and 100. And in short, it reflects the authority of this particular domain. To get from a 0 to a 1 to a 2 is like a 10,000% increase. It's a big increase to bump those numbers up. The other thing that I should comment here is this is also comparing this business to every other website online. So not just other window treatment dealers in the area, but other roofers and dentists and other service providers in your area. Also websites like eBay and Warby Parker and Amazon and all the other sites that are out there. So when we're looking at a site like this, which is probably servicing Washington, D.C. plus a 40, 50-mile radius, it's a very small cog in the internet wheel, right? It's a little tiny thing. So in the world of window treatments, since we're just doing a small little area compared to the globe, to get a DR of 15 over the course of 4 or 5 years is really good. That's really good. You're probably going to max out somewhere between 15 and 20 for a small business in a very specific area. So even though it's 0 to 100 in our world, it's more like 0 to 20, right? So they are currently at a 1.3. This particular row of numbers is looking at changes in the last year. So in the last year, they've gained 1.2 spots, meaning a year ago they were at 0.1. So they've made some strides there. That's fantastic. The next number here is backlinks and referring domains. So as I mentioned earlier, I was talking about off-page SEO, things you can do on other websites to influence your site. This is one of the things that Google looks at. How many links do you have coming from other websites? Now, there's a difference between backlinks and referring domains. Referring domains is unique domains, so .coms, .nets, .orgs, that are linking to you, whereas backlinks is the total number of links linking to you. So for instance, if you bought a link, and you shouldn't buy links according to Google, you shouldn't do this, but let's say you did. You got a link somehow on Amazon.com in their footer, right? You got a link down there. That link shows up on every single page, every single product, every single page on Amazon. So it would be one referring domain with millions of backlinks, right? Google would only count it as one. Now, Google would count the authority of that one domain that was linking back to you, which is fantastic if it's Amazon, right? But overall, the number we're really after here is the referring domains. In a perfect world, this would be a one-to-one relationship. That's really perfect world. It never happens, but that's really kind of what we're after here. So 16 referring links pointing back to their website. This number needs to be in the hundreds and ultimately in the thousands as time goes on. So 16 is pretty low. Next, keywords. Currently, they are ranking for 649 keywords, which is a loss of 50 in the last year. So over the last year, they were at 699, and now they're at 649. So not horrible. 650 keywords is a good start. That's a good solid foundation to be ranking for. The next number is traffic. This number, I will be totally honest and say I really don't pay any attention to because Google directly does not share traffic information with tools like this, Ahrefs. So tools like this have to guess, depending on these numbers, how much traffic they think you're getting. And I've always seen this number to be wildly wrong. If these guys are ranking number 6 or so for window treatments, Washington, D.C., they've probably had more than 19 visits in the last year. I mean, I'm just guessing that that's probably true. So I tend not to give that number any credence. Lastly, we've got paid search. If they're running ads, I'd say 50% of the time, maybe not even that, 50% of the time that data shows up here. It's not real trustworthy either. But these other numbers are very trustworthy because they're just using external signals that everybody can see and get to. All right, so the next chart. This chart, we have two things turned on. We have organic pages and we have referring domains. So I already talked about referring domains, and that number is 16, right? That's up here. And you can see this is a 2-year window. So you can see over time how that's grown. So 2 years ago, they had 10. Now they have 16. Not horrible, not great. This, you want to see a nice gradual increase, again, really in the hundreds as time goes on, and ultimately in the thousands, but I'm talking thousands as of, several years worth of link building and working and doing things. Now, the other thing that helps links being built is creating good content on your site, which is the yellow line here, or orange line. This is the number of pages that Google has indexed related to this website. So 2 years ago, 98 pages, currently 63. So they've actually lost a third of the pages on their website. Google has either de-indexed them or they took them down or something. So they're actually taking content off of their site or losing credit for content on their site. And quite honestly, this is, again, we want a nice increase curve or increase chart as time goes on. Two things you want to be doing: creating content very consistently and creating links very consistently. Those two things are going to do nothing but grow your business, grow your online visibility. All right, next chart here is organic keywords in a 2-year window as well. So 2 years ago, this company was ranking for 2,100 keywords. And you can see there was a huge drop that year, all the way down to 1,200. And it looks like by May of the next year, that number was 804. So pretty significant drop there. And if we look at the chart above it, since the links pretty much stayed the same during that time, we can see that they were definitely taking content offline or getting de-indexed for content. So that would probably affect how many pages they're ranking for. So from 2,100 down to 804, looks like they gained some authority, ranked for some more keywords around 1,400, down to the point where now they're ranking for just under 1,000. So pretty interesting how time has gone on and what they're ranking for as the time continues. So all right. So that is a really good basis for how this website is doing from an SEO standpoint. Now, the other thing I want to look at here is the actual keywords. They're currently 649 as of today. What we're really looking for when it comes to keywords is two things being married together, really: product or service married with location. So again, just like my search, window treatments, Washington, D.C. If you have those two keywords or key phrases married together and you're ranking for those types of things, it's going to be money. It's going to be revenue. So let's click on these and see just what they are currently ranking for. All right. So the first one is window wears, Washington, D.C. So brand name, location. Not ideal. Well, I shouldn't say not ideal. Ideal, but the only reason somebody would type this in is because they're already familiar with your brand. So you may have put a billboard up, or you did a TV commercial, or somebody was referred, something like that, a networking meeting where they got a business card, something like that. They're typing in the brand to find information. A lot of times when somebody types in brand to find something, all they're doing is looking for a phone number or a way to contact you, right? Which is fine. Again, that's fantastic. But that requires you to have already done some sort of marketing, right? They're not just going to type that in without knowing your brand previously. Now, when it comes to these words, and we're going to go through some more of these, there's two columns we're really looking at here. Volume is estimated number of searches in a 30-day period. So window wears, Washington, D.C., 20 people a month are typing that in, or we'll call it one every other day, right? Just a little over one every other day is typing that into Google. And position is their current position in Google when somebody types this in. So obviously their brand, their location, they're in position number one, as they should be, which is just perfect. What we're really after here, again, product or service and location. That's where leads come from. That's where revenue comes from. So Window Wares is a brand. Blinds DC, I guess we could say that is product and location. So let's follow that across. 20 searches a month. They're in position 6. So they're a middle of page 1 of Google for that phrase. Window Ware doesn't count. Blinds Washington, D.C., that's a little more specific. Only 10 searches a month. So pretty low on the search volume. They're in position 6. So now you can start to see window treatments, Washington, D.C., 10 searches a month. They're in position 7. That's probably the one that I did. But what we're really after here is some of the more detailed related searches. So something like this, statement door, 20 searches a month. They're in position 18. This ranking is 100% useless to them. It's not going to drive a lead. Nobody's going to type this into Google and then sign up for an appointment, right? There's no correlation between the search and the intent of that particular search. Also, this is something somebody in Idaho or California or Texas could type in. And even though they're ranking in the 18th position, even if they were ranking number 1, it still wouldn't be a potential lead, a valid lead for them, right? So that's why we're always looking for that product married with location. Those are the real winners. So let's see here. Next Day Blinds, that's a competitor. Hunter Douglas Sonnet. Look at that, 100 searches a month. They're in position 42, but quite honestly, again, useless. This is because it's a Hunter Douglas site. And of course, it's going to rank for some of the Hunter Douglas stuff because they're the ones that built the site. So they're going to do that. But the problem here is, even though they're ranking for 650 keywords, there are hardly any that are valuable, that are worth anything to them. 1, 2, 3, 4 keywords, quite honestly, on this entire page that I see that are potential revenue driving keywords. So it's not always about how many keywords you're ranking for. Yeah, that's it. 4 of these keywords are any good. And on top of that, 1, 2, 3 of them are on page 1 of Google. So only 3 out of 650 are really probably getting any eyeballs at all. The other 646 are mostly useless traffic, which is not great. You know, it's a waste of traffic, waste of money if they're putting any money towards it. And it's just not great for them. So let's go ahead and just for the heck of it, let's look at page 2 and see if there's anything here worthwhile. All kinds of Hunter Douglas stuff. Again, great for Hunter Douglas. Here's a Budget Blinds DC. That's a competitor. Shade Store DC, another competitor. So yeah, so really, in the overall scheme of things, this particular company is not a threat online, quite honestly. Not in the least. So, all right, let me check my chat. If you're watching live and you want me to do a quick audit on your site, plug it into the chat there and I will grab that and we'll plug it in and we'll do that. In the meantime, I'm going to go back and let's just go find another one. What I'd really like to find is a local company that's not a big brand. Here we go. Shade and Shutter Sales LLC. Let's look at that. Okay, here we go. All right, so here's another site, Shade and Shutter Sales LLC. A little bit hard to say. All right, but this looks to be a local company. So first thing I'm going to do is shrink this down and just see if it's responsive for mobile. So I would say for the most part, it's responsive for mobile. This is a little weird over here, but you did see that as I shrunk it down, it is responsive. It changes its kind of look and feel. So I think it probably gets a B on the mobile friendly side. So that's one thing. Next, it is secure, HTTPS, which is pretty common nowadays. I don't run across too many sites that are not anymore, which is good. So that's great. Logo top left, it is clickable, takes me to the home page. That's great. Phone numbers top right. Now I do notice that this top number is not clickable, but the bottom number is click to call. So that's kind of weird. I don't know why they even need two numbers up there unless they're concerned that people in the 703 or people in the 202 aren't going to dial a 703 number. I don't know. I don't think that's really a thing anymore. But for some reason, that number is not clickable, click to call. One more time, I'm going to shrink that down and see what happens to the phone numbers here. They're still both there. And only the bottom one is click to call. So, all right, not sure why that is the case, but quite honestly, you just need one number up there. My other comment about the phone number is I love that it's big. I think that is fantastic for people that just land here and want to pick up the phone and call. That's fantastic. I love the free consultation button here. So easy. What is my next step for somebody? Now, the problem with the free consultation button is probably that it doesn't stick out. There's also one over here on the left, which is the same, but the colors are all the same as the logo. It kind of blends in with everything else, so it doesn't stick out. So when I talk about having an obvious next step, I don't know if it's obvious. I think they could find another color that matches these two colors, you know, that works well on a color wheel, but still kind of sticks out here. That would probably be good. Now, when it comes to content, they've got a decent amount of content here. I'm going to call it 700 words, maybe a little bit less. Not horrible. For a homepage, that's pretty good. It's hard to write a lot of content for a homepage. But we're going to look at some of the internal pages here in a minute just to see what that is. And actually, now that I realize this, I'm actually on an internal page, shadeandshuttersales.com/Washington, DC window treatment /Washington, DC shades. So I see what they did there. They're really trying to shove those keywords in to get that Washington, DC. They might have gone overboard with this, quite honestly. I don't know why this particular folder even exists, Washington, DC window treatment /Washington, DC shades. So I landed on a shades page in particular, but this could probably be shade and shuttersales.com/location/ or not even location, product /shades or something like that would probably be a lot better for this. The content on the page is going to tell Google where you're at, not so much the URL, but nonetheless. All right. Product videos. I'm going to click on that. Let's see what that does. So I'm on the shades page. Let's say I'm interested in buying some shades. Click on that. And it took me to an introduction for shutters. All right. Not the best user experience. Plantation shutters for doors. Well, I'm looking for shades. Specialty shutters, plantation shutters for bay windows. So, Roman shades. Finally, I scrolled down. If I'm on a mobile device, probably not doing all that, quite honestly. So that's a usability thing that's maybe not the best. And again, I understand product videos is good, but what would be better is, let's look at this page. Why not put shade related videos on the shade page? That would make more sense. I would think that would be good. All right. Newsletter, click on that. I do notice that this site is pretty slow. So, all right, here's the newsletter. It is a Wufoo form with lots of fields. The one thing I'll say about forms is the more fields you have, the less likely people are to fill them out. That's one thing. Also, if it's a newsletter, why do you need my mailing address? I would think name, email, submit. Just get the lead. Also, newsletter, nobody's going to do this. Nobody's going to click this and sign up for your newsletter anyway, especially since there's no offer. There's not like sign up for our newsletter and get $50 off your first appointment or something like that. Would at least make it more appealing. But just having the word newsletter there, nobody's going to do anything about that. In fact, product videos and newsletter need to be pushed down to page, and latest projects of all these things, latest projects needs to be up here by free consultation. That's what people are interested in. They're going to look at this and they're going to see their home compared to what some of the other things that this company has done. So, all right, there's latest projects coming soon. So there's not even anything there. If there's nothing there, just take the link off, to be honest. All right, share feedback. Let's see what that does. Takes me to another form. All right. I don't know. In my opinion, I would not add this to the site. It has no credibility. So Google's not going to take anything that anybody fills out, even if somebody gives you all 5 stars and then you go post that on your site about how great you are. Google's not going to give that any value, because your mom could go fill this out and your aunt and your uncle could all go fill this out and it would probably not be legit, right? So they're not going to take that at value. So again, maybe not the best link. So, all right, view our gallery. Let's see what we got here. This is another very highly trafficked page on a lot of our client sites and coming soon. So I would just take it off of there. If there's nothing there, don't put it there. All right, then we got logos at the bottom. I do like to review us on Google 5 stars. Let me click on that. All right, it opens a new window. That's good. Review. You can actually link on it. It pops straight to here. This are all kind of fuzzy. Don't know if that was on purpose or not, but nonetheless, there they are. I do like the socials being in the footer. I would definitely keep social media in the footer and not put it in the header. We do come across a lot of sites that have social media in the header. One thing that does is tends to distract people, and they kind of start going down the rabbit hole of social media. And when somebody comes to a website, what you really want them to do is the obvious next step, which is typically sign up for an appointment, right? So having that other stuff up here clutters the page. It also distracts them. So, all right, enough about this site. Here's the homepage, by the way. More content, which is good. I think from a content standpoint, they're doing good. A lot of these links on the left are useless. I would probably instead just use links across the top. I would also make this top sticky. So as you scroll down the page, this blue line here just stays there at the top of the page. So when I get to, excuse me, when I get to here and I've read enough, I'm ready to get started. Now there's no obvious next step for me at this point. I have to go find it, right? I have to go back up here and do this. If this stuff was already sticky at the top of the page, that would make somebody who was wanting to create or generate a lead or become a lead, make that easier for them. So, all right, let's grab this URL and let's go ahead and plug this into Ahrefs. So let's go up here, plug this in and see how these guys are doing from this standpoint. So let's go to overview. All right, domain rating of 0.6. So not even 1. So pretty low in the overall scheme of things. Very similar to the previous site we looked at. 17 referring domains totaling 25 links. And they're ranking for 108 keywords, which is a loss of 91. So almost 50% loss in the last year. So not ranking for a lot, not doing anything on the SEO side. But let's look at the other charts. So the yellow line is pages, organic pages found online. And you can see 2 years ago, that number was 34. Now that number is 30. So definitely not putting any content on their site as an ongoing strategy, which they should be doing. And then the blue line is number of links accrued. Now this is increasing 11 to 17. So it is, an upward trajectory. It's just not a great one, but moving in the right direction there. So, all right. And lastly is organic keywords. So 2 years ago, they were ranking for 233 keywords. In July of 23, they were ranking for 300 keywords, and they've been on a roller coaster down since then to 150. So definitely a big loss there since July. That's unfortunate. Now, sometimes when we see this growth and then we see this drop, this could be that they decided to write some blogs, right? They started to do some content, or maybe they did a press release, or they did something to get some links or some content on their site. And Google responded by giving them some more organic traffic, which is great. But then they stopped, right? They just kind of one-timed it maybe, and they benefited from that shortly, and then it went right back down. So this speaks to the fact that you have to be consistent. You have to keep doing it. You have to continually add content to your site. So every time Google comes to your site to crawl it, there's more information for them to see, more information for them to crawl through, more things for them to learn. And then the big drop off here is because there was just no fresh content. So, that's what happens. So, all right. So enough about that website. Let's go to another area. Let's see. Anybody put anything in the chat of areas that or websites that they would like me to audit? Let me just check the chat real quick. If you do have a website you want me to toss up here, I'd be happy to do it. Just put it into the chat there. So let me check that and see if anybody's said anything. Where is the chat? Right there. Okay, James says, hello. Hi, James. Traverse Industries. All right. So let me see here. How do I copy that? I guess I can't copy it. All right, let me just type it in. We'll do it that way. See if I spelled that right. TraverseEnterprises.com. James, does this look like your site? Oh, it redirected me somewhere, so don't think this is yours. Let me try that again. Traverse Enterprises. I'm sorry. Traverse Enterprises.com. Sorry, I should have read it a little bit closer. There we go. All right. Traverse Enterprises. Now, James, I know that you are an installer in the window treatment world, so that is kind of your focus, right? So, all right, here we go with the site. As I mentioned, when I scroll, I love the stickiness, right? This is great. I also love the book an appointment. It's black. I guess maybe it does kind of mix in with all the other stuff, but it's not terrible. It kind of sticks out, especially as I cruise down the page. But nonetheless, sticky, great start. I did mention about the social. I would recommend putting the socials in the footer. There's no real advantage to having them up here, and they're going to distract people from leads. Phone number is top right. It is click to call. I would definitely consider making that bigger and bolder and a different color. And then I would probably move these two things, service areas into the trade, down to your main navigation. You could get rid of this home because that's by default going to be your logo. But so you could have service areas here along with to the trade, typically what we do for our clients there. So just have phone number over here and your call to action in the right. So, all right, let me shrink this down and make sure it is responsive. It is great. That's wonderful. All right, so we've got preview our services, get in touch, book an appointment. Got a couple buttons here. Why should you choose us? All good content, latest blog posts. All right, we're going to look at those. And in the news, I'm assuming the in the news is some sort of a feed that pulls in and changes often. Probably no advantage to that from an SEO standpoint. From a authority credibility standpoint, probably good. You know, we're watching the latest things and we know what's going on, kind of thing. I think that's good. All right, latest blog post there. I'm going to come back and look at those. So, all right, let's just click a couple things. Preview our services. Our services. By the way, the one thing I did not see here is location. I do see a Greenville, South Carolina here. I don't see anything else. It's probably down here. There's a Piedmont. That's probably your real address, but that's it. So in our SEO Masterclass, one of the first things we talked about in week number 2, which was on-page SEO, one of the first things we talked about was heading tags, H1 tags. Very important for SEO. And a heading tag is the top headline for that page. Here's what this page is about, Google, right? The heading tag for your page is, are you experiencing window treatment challenges? Don't curse it, just traverse it. Cute, but Google's not going to have any idea what that means, right? So I'm going to right click and do inspect on that. And let's see if that is your H1. So it's not, that's an H2. So that's okay. But do you have an H1 on your page? So let's do this. Right click, view page source. We're getting all nerdy here right off the bat. I'm going to do a search for H1. There's some CSS related to H1, but is there an actual H1 tag? There is not. There's no H1 tag on this site. So missed opportunity there. I would add an H1 tag. If you want to leave this because you like it, that's fine. It's an H2. I would put an H1 tag above this that says this is your number one keyword: window treatment installation, Greenville, South Carolina. So when somebody lands on the page, or when Google lands on the page, they know exactly what this page is. They know exactly what it is that this page is about. That would be a good start. At the same time, your title tag is what shows up in the top left on that tab. Well, I'm in Chrome at this point. So your title tag is window treatments, pipe, professional installation, pipe, Greenville, South Carolina. Much better. That's fantastic. That is directed to the point and pretty much says what it is you do and where you're at. So that is the kind of thing that you would also put in your H1 tag. Those two things are really going to help your SEO, quite honestly, just fixing those two things. So why should you choose us? Let me see what this is. So this is also an H2, which is okay. So the way that heading tags work, H1, the most important, you should only have one of those on your page. H2 are subheadings, less important, but should still be keyword related for the most part. And then other tags, H3, H4, H5, H6 are obviously less important as time goes on. So the structure behind this could probably be a little bit different. Or maybe leave this as an H2, but change the wording. So reasons to choose Traverse as your installer in Greenville. I don't know, something like that. So think about getting those keywords in there. You don't want to make it spammy, but you also do want to tell Google what your website is about within reason, right? All right. That is the home page. Let's go ahead and go to, I don't know, commercial projects. That sounds good. So commercial window treatment installations, that's great. If that was an H1, I bet that's an H2. Oh, it's an H3. All right. Change that to an H1 for sure. And by the way, typically H1, biggest font, H2 a little bit smaller, H3 a little bit smaller, right? They get smaller depending on the theme that you're using, but you can override those. Google doesn't care about the font size and that kind of stuff. A lot of times when people build websites, they're building websites because this font size looks the best for what they're doing. But change this to an H1, add the word Greenville, South Carolina on here for sure. That would be your number one H1 tag for this page. The amount of content on this page, very, very small. I would consider creating a lot more content, maybe adding a gallery of a couple of things that you've done. Not too many, because that's going to affect the page load speed. But I would definitely put some top projects that you've done in here. And then I'd also maybe get rid of these 3 buttons and just have one, so that people aren't confused about the next step, right? If they're not paying attention to this one up here, give them an obvious next step, or put some sort of a call to action maybe on the right. Download our 7 tips when putting together your commercial window treatment job, or something like that. There are things you can do related to that too, to kind of get those leads, or just put a form over here. Need more information? Fill out this form to have somebody contact you. And again, the shorter the form, the better. All right. Products. I clicked on products. Let's go to shades. So same thing, shades, Greenville, SC, make that an H1. At this point, these types of pages are going to be competing with actual window treatment dealers. So not sure if you do like the full window treatment dealer thing, or just want to do the install thing. I'm guessing that if somebody says, can you sell me some honeycomb shades, you're going to say yes, right? So if that's the case, your actual shades page, window shades, Greenville SC, really has no content. It literally has this one line in it. So you would definitely want to get some content on this page. And then you've built sub pages underneath, which is actually really good, because now if somebody's typing in honeycomb shades, Greenville, what you want to happen is this page to rank in Google, and you want them to land on this page. You don't want them to land on your home page and then have to go find this page, right? Best case scenario, they type that in and they land here. That's great. And that's what we want to happen. So same thing, fix that, add the area for sure. Content, definitely light. You need closer to 1,000 words, really, which I know is a little bit difficult, but if you start doing things like, what is this, honeycomb shades? So if you go to answerthepublic.com and type in honeycomb shades. Now, what this is going to do is it's going to give you all kinds of ideas for your content. All right, I'm not going to do that. Here are all kinds of things that you can add to that page to make that page longer, make that page more valuable. Things that people are asking related to honeycomb shades. What are? Why? Are honeycomb shades outdated? That's a good one. Can honeycomb shades be cleaned? How to remove, maybe you don't want to do that. How to fix, how to install. So go through these and pick the good ones and add those to your site. So these are H2s, by the way. These are H2 tags. Can honeycomb shades be cleaned? Yes, as a matter of fact, use some hot water and soap, blah, blah, blah. Put your little answer there. You're making that page longer and more valuable. Prepositions, honeycomb shades for windows, honeycomb shades for patio doors. So this is a great tool to help you create that content and make that page longer, more valuable to Google, and obviously more valuable to the reader. Now, the other side of that is don't forget your calls to action throughout this, so that since this page is going to get a lot longer, Don't forget to put some pictures in there to kind of break up the monotony of the words. And don't forget to have a form, a button, click here to set your appointment, get started now, that sort of stuff in there. So off to a good start. I would definitely do that. If you have some video of honeycomb shades, I would definitely add that to this page. That's something that will keep people on a page longer, which Google is watching how long somebody spends on a page. They do pay attention to that as well. So, all right, that's enough on the website. Let's go ahead and plug this into Ahrefs and see what's going on there. Excuse me. All right, so domain rating 0.9, 0.9 on the right path. So as you can see, it is a gain of 0.9, meaning you were at 0 a year ago and you've gained basically 1 point, which is fantastic. You're moving in the right direction. The big thing that is going to influence this more is the next item, backlinks. You currently have 17, or you have 40 links coming from 17 different sites. So if you could focus specifically on link building, that will bump your domain rating and it will ultimately help you rank for more keywords. So definitely need to spend time on that. Again, in my SEO Masterclass, that's week 3. We talked about off-page SEO, things that you can do there. All right, next, keyword. You're currently ranking for 72 keywords, which unfortunately is a loss of 73, meaning you've lost 50% of where you were. And we'll see that down here below in a minute. Currently ranking for 72. Let's go on to the next chart. So this is what we're after. And this is the kind of stuff we do for our clients. Look at this blue line just creeping its way up as time goes on. That's great. Keep that going. Keep that momentum going. And if you can, make it a little bit more obvious, right? Really skew it up. The orange line is number of pages on your site. You can see that you did some work. You got some new pages, but then it kind of waned off. The pages might have been new in June of last year, but then the freshness wore off. Maybe you didn't add any new pages, or Google decided those pages weren't as valuable compared to other people's pages related, and they started de-indexing those pages, or just not valuing them as much. And we can see that in your organic rankings. 2 years ago, ranking for 20 keywords. June and July of last year, you're killing it, 278 keywords, and then big drop right after that. This could be a redesign. This could be just the fact that you didn't put any new content, that kind of stuff out there. But definitely for some reason, took your foot off the gas or did something maybe that Google didn't like and they de-indexed you for a lot of pages. I can also see correlation here where 43 pages and then it went down to 29. So a lot of pages were de-indexed on Google's side as well. So that kind of correlates with this huge loss. So, all right, last, let's look at the keywords that you're ranking for. Again, what we're after here is product or service married with location. Okay, so I've never seen the keyword shrimp in curtain rods before. Oh, actually, I have heard of this. This is like a prank. I actually have heard of this now that I think about it. Not necessarily something you want to rank for, but okay, I know what that is. All right, number 2, window treatments, Greenville, SC. Boom, bonus. That is gold right there. 50 searches a month. That is great. If you can continue to rank for that and get that higher, currently you're in position 19, which is the bottom of page 2. You're probably not getting any real traffic from that. In fact, it estimates you're getting 1 visit every 30 days from that. But boy, the potential is basically 2 people a day if you can get that ranking up. So that is a good one. That is a great one. Cellular shades, noise reduction, no value. This is where things start to drop off. There's not a lot related to location. Curtains, Greenville, here we go. 20 searches, so 1 person every other day or so. You're in position 43. So that's the middle of page 5 of Google. So you can see not well, only one page one result, and it's shrimp and curtain rods. It's not a revenue generating term. The second term here is for sure, and you're at the bottom of page 2 for that. So let's see if there's anything else in here. So all these other keywords, really, they're great to have, but they're not going to generate any revenue for you. They're not lead generating keywords. Window blinds, Greenville. See, there's another 50 searches a month. You're in the middle of page 7 of Google. That's a good one too. The idea here, obviously, if you can rank for this, if you can rank for, what was that one? This, now you've got 100 people every 30 days looking just for those 2 keywords, right? Now you've got, what is that? 3 people every single day coming to your website because you're just ranking for those 2 terms. So, multiply that times 100 terms that are valuable, and you've got a lot of traffic and a lot of quality eyeballs on your website. Let's see, anything else? Austrian shades, window treatments. Okay. I'm assuming that's like a style or something, maybe. So that's it. That's it. Maybe 3 or 4 good phrases that you're ranking for. Let's look at page 2 here. Again, nothing related to location. And so since there's really nothing related to location, I would definitely go back and change this H1 tag, honeycomb shades, Greenville, South Carolina. By far, I would do that. Even though you do have it down here, I would definitely have it up here. I would also have it up here in your title tag. So don't worry about the phone number. Don't worry about your brand name. This needs to be honeycomb shades, Greenville, South Carolina. That needs to be what this particular title tag is up here. Almost always the same or very, very close to the same as your H1 tag would really help that as well. And then rinse and repeat for all the product pages on your site. Build this content out. Use that answer the public to make it bigger and better and more valuable. Now, don't just add fluff to the site, to the page, add value, but that would really help. So, all right, last thing I want to do is go look at your blog. So we've got why traverse. That's obviously a promo piece. Let's look at refresh your home. Refresh your Greenville, South Carolina home with new window treatments, something like that. Might be a better title. And then you've got some good content. I'm going to call it 500 words, maybe 600 words. Again, you need a call to action somewhere, a bright green button that says get started or something like that, right? You've got your about the author, you've got socials, a lot of social links here. Definitely work on the calls to action. I would definitely work on that. So let's just click on this just for the heck of it, see what happens. Okay, so it just goes to a share. Like I can share this post, I guess. Okay. All right, very good. All right, hopefully, James, that helps you out, gives you a little bit of direction. And for the others that are watching, hopefully that gives you some ideas today too. We went through a couple different websites. Hopefully, out of all that, you've picked up some details, some things. I'm gonna do this probably once a month. I'm just gonna pull up some sites and give you some feedback. If you want your site audited live on one of these, just reach out to me, and I'd be happy to do that on one of these sessions in the future. In the meantime, as I mentioned earlier, if you're at a point where you need to get some SEO help, and maybe you're not at the point where you can hire a marketing company like ours, check out our free 6-week SEO Masterclass, absolutely free. The link is in the description here. We'll put it up on the screen real quick. go.wtmarketingpros.com or it's just wtmarketingpros.com/SEO Masterclass, I think. But anyway, go check that out. Sign up for that. Absolutely free. 6-week course, 6-hour course that you can go through. And it explains a lot of the things that I went through today and will be a great foundation to get your website ranking correctly. So, all right. Thank you all for jumping on. Hope you have a great week, great weekend, and we will see you on a future what is this called? Broadcast, future broadcast. Hope you have a great day. Take care, everybody. See ya.